what was once invisible clear as day. So sometimes in life, the clearest view of your life only comes when you step away. In this video, I want to talk about the clarity that distance brings, emotionally, mentally, and even geographically. After moving from the US to the UK, I began to see myself, my habits, my beliefs, and even my relationships very differently. Space gave me some vision. Separation gave me some peace. And today I want to share what that kind of clarity can unlock in your life, no matter where or how far that distance is occurring. So this clarity thing has been something that's been really present in my life lately. How stepping back and stepping away from a situation can actually help us see it in a light that's much more realistic. And this can apply to anything. It doesn't have to apply to actually moving abroad and seeing that kind of distance. It can be your job, it can be your family, it can be a specific situation you're in, your routine, or it could be somebody like me who is looking at your country differently. It's been about 2 years since I made the leap across the pond from America to the United Kingdom. What I've learned since then is it's really not just about your culture and it's not just about your lifestyle. It's more importantly about your perspective and how sometimes we are so close to something that we can't see the shape of our lives and what is actually happening until we create space from them. When you're in something, really in it, it's so hard to see it clearly. You start to normalize all the noise around you, the patterns, the routines, the stress that comes along with everything, and you start to mistake survival for stability. And often you don't realize how much you're living on autopilot until all of a sudden you're not living on autopilot anymore. And sometimes it takes distance, whether it be emotional or physical, to really wake you up from that. When I moved abroad, that's when things really started to click. I kind of always had this underlying anxious feeling back home anyway. I just got used to it. I just thought, oh, it's just part of life and whatever. Even though I recognized it, I never really called it anxiety. I filled every free moment with something, whether it be emails, plans, tasks, to-do lists. I noticed how hard it was for me to just be. That clarity didn't come from some self-help book or some big breakthrough. It came from space, from looking back at my old life in America, all my relationships, how I approached my job, how I approached even maintaining my home, looking at it from the outside and really confronting the realities of the way I was living. The truth is, any kind of distance gives you a different perspective. It shows you what's real and it shows you what's just routine. And it makes you question why you're doing what you're doing. It shows you exactly what matters to you and what you were just doing in order to cope, to keep up, not feel left behind, delude yourself that you were doing well and that you had a good life. From over here in the UK, I started to see my American work ethic, particularly, in a brand new light. I'm grateful for it. I was able to enjoy a lot of benefits from having such a focused and determined work approach. I really made a lot out of my humble beginnings, and I am never going to regret that part of my life. However, I started to realize how much I tie my work achievements and that ethic and what other people in that environment thought of me to my self-worth. As if I wasn't productive, I wasn't valuable. Also started to realize that it wasn't just my work life that I was applying that mentality to, that if I skipped cleaning the sheets this week, I was a bad mom. or that if I didn't show up to the family holiday celebration because I was tired and needed a break, that I was a bad daughter or I didn't know what family was. But the good part about seeing those patterns is that you can question them and you can start to unlearn them. Some things that I personally started to see very clearly from a distance was my relationships, whether they were actually mutual, which ones were built on convenience, how much pressure I put on myself to have a clean house, presentable home, just to perform and be available for people instead of existing for myself and the things that I loved. How often I said yes to things when I really wanted to say no. And how much I confused being busy with doing something meaningful. Space showed me the difference between noise and signal, between habit and truth. And honestly, it's been one of the most freeing experiences I've ever had. Distance isn't always easy. It doesn't have to just be the physical distance, as I mentioned before. Emotional distance and creating boundaries can be just as uncomfortable as moving to a new country. It can be lonely. You might have to grieve a loss or multiple losses. You're gonna miss birthdays and holidays. You're gonna feel the gap. Your memory is gonna start recalling all of these previous events that you did participate in and the good things that you remember from that time. And you're going to wonder if you're actually doing the right thing. Once you come down from those moments and you're in the quiet of your separation, something really powerful starts to happen. You start to come home to yourself. You start to reconnect with what you actually believe, not what your environment or propaganda told you should believe, not what you were brought up to believe, not what all of your friends believed, not what your boss or your work colleagues or your company told you was the ultimate goal and the best goal. You start to discover what you actually want, and you start to see more clearly the path that you need to take to get there. And quite often, unfortunately, it leads away from all of those other influences, all that other noise. And you're going after goals that you defined, that you believe are part of your success, not what your environment has trained you to pursue. What was once invisible, clear as day. Here's what I want to leave you with. My journey is a description of my life as an American living here in the UK. But more importantly, the reason that I share it, the reason that this channel exists, is not to just describe a journey, but also to inspire others to take their own journey, to find their own path. And if something in your life is feeling really unclear right now, just try stepping back. Doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't even have to be for any real significant period of time. You don't have to be dramatic about it. Just take a little space. Just take a few moments to yourself. A weekend offline, a solo walk in the countryside or in your local park or even around town. A break from the noise. No distractions, no headphones, nobody else with you. And just start to really be with yourself and ask yourself, what do I see differently from doing this, from being in this area, from being in this moment? What is it that I'm starting to see with more clarity? Because those moments are where the epiphanies happen and where you start to feel that strength and that motivation to do better. And everybody has the ability to do better. And it's not a knock on what your life is now or anything that you've achieved up until this point. It just is an incentive to keep moving forward, to not settle, and to really make sure that you find a balance between achieving goals and working towards goals and making sure that you have the space between those goals and between those actions to ensure that you're doing it for the right reasons and that you're doing it for your own definition of success. I had to move across the ocean in order to find this kind of clarity. Hopefully, you don't have to do anything as dramatic. Just take whatever space that you need and the clarity will definitely come. I wish you all the luck in your journey. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, and I will see you next time.